MMA Buzz.
Hello and welcome to MMA Buzz, the East Coast MMA chat, where three friends get together for some brews and talk about MMA, upcoming cards, and industry news. We're coming to you pre-recorded from our Fredericton, New Brunswick studio. I am your host, Rodney Mann. That's Rodney Mann on Instagram. Joining me today to my left,
Nick Brown, NHBrown44 on Instagram and Twitter.
And rounding out the panel,
it's Trevor Lutz and Grever on Instagram.
Together, we are MMA Buzz Radio. You can find MMA Buzz on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube just by searching MMA Buzz. And like us, follow us, let us know what you think. We are loving all of the feedback we're getting. Really happy to hear from all of you guys. And just really happy to be bringing you a podcast again. We've had a week off. We didn't have any MMA action in any major events to speak of from last weekend. And instead, we decided to take the weekend to check out the Fredericton Craft Beer Festival, where we got a little buzz on, no pun intended. Actually, pun very much intended. Yeah. We actually recorded a podcast afterwards, and we are looking forward to editing that in with some of the footage that we took while we were there to give you guys a full experience of what the Fredericton Craft Beer Festival was all about. Guys, what a time that was at the festival, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, over 50 different companies there, microbrews, craft breweries, cideries, meaderies. Just a great experience happening in the heart of downtown Fredericton in the convention center. Like I said, we did a podcast for you. We're going to be bringing it out to you over the next week, so look forward to that. That will be episode 12 of MMA Buzz, and it will be the first beer-specific podcast. So if you're digging beer and you're just checking this one out because you saw beer, and if you typed in craft beer and it came up, well, make sure to tune in if you only want to hear about beer to our next podcast. But this one is all about MMA. If you're new to MMA Buzz, we like to start off by telling everybody who's listening what we're drinking. Today, having just come back from visiting some relatives up in northern New Brunswick and making a little trip over to the Quebec side to take a look at what they had in store for, craft beers and the like, I am drinking a Two Brothers Hickson IPA, so an India Pale Ale. This is from it's a 6.2%, and it is from a town called Terrebonne, Quebec. And I gotta say, it's pretty good. This is my second time having it. It's a IBU of 53, and it's got some citrus, Cascade, Chinook, and Centennial hops in it, and it's grounded with some pale Munich and Cara malts, which really give it a nice smooth taste all the way from beginning to end. Drinking it at room temperature. I've just taken this one out of the fridge, so it's actually pretty good even cold. But definitely suggesting it, and really happy I picked it up while I was up that way. Nick, what do you got?
I've got a Dirty Old Town Dry Hop Black IPA from Garrison Brewing in Halifax. It's the second time I've had this. It's pretty good. It's got Cascade and Columbus hops in it with an IBU of 55. And Crystal, Kilnamber, and Chocolate Malt. As you put it, I guess, the first time I had it, it's a great dessert beer.
Yes, it's a dessert beer. Yeah. I had that at the Tap Takeover at the Ale House, and it was really good on tap.
It's really good.
It's a pretty big bottle too.
It is a big bottle, 650 milliliters.
6.5%, yeah. Delicious beer. Definitely worth checking out if you have access to a Dirty Old Town. What do you have, Trevor?
Dirty beer.
What do you got?
I got a reoccurring beer here. I got the Maybe Workhorse IPA based out of Fredericton, New Brunswick. Actually, these guys were at the Fredericton Festival last weekend, the beer festival. What I say every time, it's the hard-working IPA with you for the long haul. Delicious beer. Gonna be having it for a while now.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going and checking them out. Their location, they just put up their sign, and they just posted a video of them clearing out the area and everything, so we're good to go. We can go check it out. And,
really? Where's that?
Yeah, it's out in the industrial park, Allison Boulevard. So,
okay.
Yeah, definitely worth... we'll have to posse up and go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they have 4 beers on tap right now, as opposed to the 2 you can get in the liquor store.
Yeah.
Are they gonna do like the growler treatment?
Yep, they do the growlers. You can bring in growler and get it filled.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, actually, lots of news to bring you about that when we do our beer recap from the beer festival. Lots of stuff. Yeah, you're not going to hear us clinking our bottles against the table on this podcast because we've got enough coasters that we're actually going to be giving some away, and we're going to be bringing you the details on how to get some swag from the Fredericton Craft Beer Festival during our beer exclusive podcast, which you may have heard me mention 7 times so far in the podcast. All right, before we chat their ears off about beer, let's talk about what was some insane fighting last night in UFC Fight Night 85.
Pretty brutal.
Hunt versus Mir down in Australia. Just another violent night coming from Australia. You always hear them talking about, how violent it is and all of these different politicians looking to shut it down in Australia. And this is just another card that just adds insult to injury, really. A couple of really brutal fights. Luckily, nothing too bloody, but there was a couple bloody ones. Guys, let's start at the pinnacle and work our way down. Mark Hunt, Frank Mir in the co-main event. We've got Mark Hunt, who is, been fighting the who's who of the heavyweight division. His record, 12-10-1 now after this fight, 11-10-1 going into it. Nothing remarkable, but when you think about who this man's fought in his career, it's just a friggin' murderer's row at the top. And Frank Mir, of course, coming back, looking really good in his not his last fight, but in his resurgence ever since having his surgery. Truly a marvel that man's even fighting anymore, considering his history. But guys, what a highlight knockout by Mark Hunt. Just another textbook walk-off KO in the first 3 minutes. Comes into the 3-minute 1 second mark of the first round. A little bit of range finding in the first minute or so, and just entirely a stand-up affair, even though Frank Mir, known for his submission game, probably looking to feel it out so he could make his way, get the takedown, and capitalize on his position. Unfortunately, he didn't even get that far. Just a heat-sinking missile coming from Mark Hunt, catching Mir just behind the ear and sending him to the ground. Hunt just looks at him, probably sees something in his face like he's not coming back from this. Referee steps in, waves it off. Mark Hunt, looking chill and dapper as ever, just kind of brushes his hands up and just walks away, just looking at him like, oh yeah, he knows. He just knocked him out. Trevor, I know you were stoked to see this. Give me your take on the fight.
Yeah, I've been a Hunt fan for years now. I believe he has that murderer's row because he was at such a high level in K1. K1 World Champion 2001 with his knockout of Jerome LeBanner in the final. But, he's just been fighting monsters the entire time. So, yeah, that right cross that he caught him with, really, you can see his, head torque really bad. And I've seen people say, it was an early stoppage. But you can see, Frank Mir's right hand is doing this weird, tapping motion, but it almost looks like he's twitching.
Yeah.
And you can see he's kind of just looking up in the ceiling. And Mark Hunt has come out to say that he knows once he connects, he feels it. He knows that's the punch to do it, and that's why he's able to do these walk-off KOs. And he's one of my favorite personalities, and it's interesting to see what they do with him next. Frank Mir, I'm not sure. He's on a 2-fight skid now after his win with Todd Duffy. But they'll figure something out.
Yeah.
He looked kind of flabbier than usual, but...
He did, yeah.
It was weird, though. It looked like he had fat abs.
Yeah.
It was you could still see his abs, but they were, fat instead of muscle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, when you get to a certain age, it's kind of hard to keep the tone up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was subscribing to his Instagram feed. Oh, I always have, but I was just looking at it moving up to this fight, and he was grinding, like the guy's in shape. But yeah, he was looking a little bit, little soft compared to the Frank Mir who showed up in the last two fights.
Especially for a big guy like that, like 6'3", 260.
Yeah.
Still in pretty good shape, that's like...
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, what was it? I think it was Hunt that came in at 264. He was looking in better shape than I think we've seen him in a little bit.
Yeah, I think he cuts like 20, 30.
Yeah, Hunt looked pretty good last night.
Yeah.
Quick, too. Really fast. Like, well, he usually is. He usually surprises people because of his body stature and everything, but the guy's powerful and knows technique more than anybody.
Yeah, that's definitely was one of the perks last night. Of course, Trevor celebrating his 29th birthday this week. Happy birthday, Trevor!
Thank you.
We had a few extra people over to watch the fights, and we really got to say, don't underestimate this guy based on his look at all, because he's going to turn the lights out, or he has the possibility to, and holy shit, did he ever.
Yeah.
And, really making another, in the heavyweight division, that's all we know. We all know, you just need that highlight reel KO, and all of a sudden you're back in the picture, and we've got a really busy heavyweight roadmap if you're looking at the next couple of fights that are next couple of cards that are coming up. And I see Hunt right there knocking out Frank Mir, and Frank Mir by no stretch of the imagination to see in the top 5 anymore, but it is a vicious knockout. And if some of these other fights coming up, like Rothwell Dos Santos and Overeem Arlovsky, Derek Lewis and Gonzaga, I mean, those guys are lower in the mix too, but like I just mentioned, you get that highlight reel and you're all of a sudden back in the media, you're talking, you can really sell that fight. I'm thinking we're looking at a little bit of a contender tournament, to see who's next for Verdum. I think we're going to have to see who wins in the best fashion out of all of these fights.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Hunt really putting his name at the top of the list there so far. Some setting the bar high, something to aspire to for the rest of the guys to really get the media behind them to make them get another run at that title shot, or a new run for the title shot, I suppose, like Miocic, for example. But he's already got that fight, so yeah.
It'd be nice to see Rothwell actually get a shot.
Yeah, I know, eh? So that's just it. I mean, Rothwell, if he can beat Dos Santos, and if it's a good win, then I say he just goes straight up. But if it's a win, then maybe he has to fight Mark Hunt. It's just one of those things that could happen.
He already beat Rothwell actually. By decision. It was a sloppy fight. It was bad.
Yeah, well, let's just hope that doesn't happen again. It's just I'm really hoping we do kind of see one of these contender tournament kind of things, and they're all really busy right now. So obviously, there'll be a few, maybe a month or two, and then we'll see some more heavyweight action, and it's just gonna, for a division that's really just filled with aging people, there's no shortage of fights to make. It's actually really exciting. It's all the cream of the crop. Nick, what do we have going for next for Frank Mir? He's gone win, loss. Those 2 wins were the only 2 wins in his last 8 fights. You alluded to him looking out of shape. What do you think? Do you think's next for Frank Mir?
I don't know. I don't think he's probably done yet, but there's no title run in him or anything for sure. I don't think at this point. So
yeah,
let's see.
He's a great commentator, though. He was a commentator for WEC back in the day. Maybe he could do more panel work.
Yeah, I would hope so. I did like him in WEC. I thought he was a really good, knowledgeable commentator, and he was a respectable voice.
Especially on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. He knows all about he knows how to make grappling sound fun. He knew how to explain it without being too technical and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think Mir will fight again. I don't think they're going to cut him, but he's definitely not going to be in the top 10, barring some string of wins. I think he's going to lose his seat top 10, and it's just, I think we might have seen the best of Frank Mir during that Todd Duffy fight. And I think the UFC would be smart to pick him up where he has been nothing but a company man this entire time.
Yeah. He'll definitely have a job if he retires.
Yeah. Long time in the UFC for Frank Mir. fellow long time in the UFC haver, Hector Lombard, 34-5, going into a fight with Neil Magny in the co-main event. Neil Magny coming in 18-4, coming off a 3-fight win streak, and he only had one loss in his last 11 fights. Of course, Hector Lombard testing positive for PEDs after his Josh Berkman fight. The ATT product coming out, looking good, real clean, apparently, clean off the PEDs, but still looking cut.
More massive than ever.
Yeah, as Jim Ross would say, this was a real slobber knocker. The going through the fight, it was pretty tough to watch. As we mentioned, we had some newbies to UFC who found it pretty confusing why this fight continued going on after the onslaught that we witnessed in the first round at the hands of Hector Lombard. Magny was really hurt. The referee, Steve Percival, easily could have stopped that round. Of course, Magny makes his way back to his feet, and Lombard's clearly gassed, and somehow they make it through the first round, even though Lombard should have had that win. And they're in Australia, and there were some questionable cards going up to that, so you think that would have been all that the referee needed to see. Either that or he was watching the stream and heard them talking about, the cards being one-sided and just wanted to give more of a chance to the opposition. But regardless, we make our way into the second round, and it's all Lombard. Lombard actually connects he's tired as hell. I mean, Magny did land a few shots to keep him at range, but Lombard connects with that straight right, throws Magny to his ass, across the mat, and Lombard follows up, and they've got a pretty technical scramble that I think even included a heel hook attempt, and
that was a horrible idea.
Yeah, that was
what broke right there, the fight.
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't have gone for that heel hook because Magny capitalizes, ends up on top, and follows up with just 1 minute of unanswered striking where he has him in full guard, or he's got him in full guard, and he's just unloading on him with the ground and pound.
Constant.
Lombard flips to his stomach and is flattened out, and and Magny continues to land bombs. Finally, Lombard's able to kind of get his legs underneath him, and Magny stretches him out again and keeps friggin' laying the leather to him. He looks up at the referee. Steve Percival inches away, doesn't stop the fight.
I'd love to know what he said.
Magny landed 142 strikes in that round.
Oh my god.
142.
I'd believe it.
Third highest in any division in UFC history.
Man, that
Hopefully
is crazy.
okay. You know what I mean?
Oh, he looked so out of it. He was dazed. So yes, just to conclude the description of the fight, the men make it out of the second round. So far, we have Lombard, who's almost finished Neil Magny. He pretty much had him finished. He was rocked. He
fell on his face.
He fell on his face with the tie clench and the plum. He went to go for the knee and missed him, and then threw him to the ground head first. That was in the first, not to confuse our listeners. And the third round starts, and Magny goes out. Yeah, swarms him. He smells blood, and I mean, when you had just unloaded on someone, you probably didn't have much to make it through that round anyways. So, use your energy while you've got it. Swarms him, takes him down, lands maybe 3 unanswered shots, and then finally, Steve Percival steps in, and I'm thinking to myself, if all he needed to see was 3 unanswered shots, that fight could have been done so much longer ago, and Hector Lombard, a veteran, 34-5, as I mentioned, taking some real damage in this fight.
I wouldn't want to hear what people were yelling outside the octagon at that referee. You know what I mean? There was probably a lot of nasty things getting yelled to him. Like, stop the fight! You know what I mean? Like, so much. Probably...
When Lombard came out for the third round, he couldn't walk straight.
Yeah, he was out on his feet.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what the rules are for the commission in Australia, but I know that in MMA in Nevada, you can't actually... throw in the towel during a round. It has to be between rounds.
Yeah.
And I think that was a perfect opportunity for his corner to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
I mean, who throws the poop? I mean, sure, maybe the Lombard said, "Put me back in, coach." But I mean, you got to look out for your fighter. If the referee's not going to, you should. And I think part of this falls on Lombard's corner and ATT as a whole. However, it shouldn't have even made it to that end of that round, man. It shouldn't have even made it out of the second half of the first round.
Nope.
I think we're going to be hearing a lot about this referee. Maybe not this referee, but this particular fight. Was that?
Back-mounted and just pounding on him for 1 minute and 20 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, unanswered. Oh, my God. Yeah, tough to watch. We had some people sort of squeaming in their own bodies.
Rodney and I
Squirming,
remember
sorry.
we were like, "What needs to happen to stop this?"
Apparently a swarm takedown in three hits. You know, you could tell he was feeling the burn from the crowd.
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen Steve Percival ref before a lot, and I've never seen this kind of behavior from him. But I think, you know, it'd be pretty wild if he ever refs again.
Yeah.
Is this Kim Wislow's husband?
Yeah, that was. I'm sure that was. I had actually put here in my notes. If he could be charged, then as like a referee for some type of disability, then he should.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. He maybe you mean like as a crime,
Well, no, like
or
like,
you mean or like fine,
suspension or something,
or
like,
a fine?
some
Yeah,
type of charge with the referee and commission.
Jesus,
and
Hector
like,
Lombard should sue him for the years he lost off his life. I mean, we saw some real grit from both those men, but the only reason we were able to see that grit is because the referee let it go. If he hadn't let it go, we would have just been, you know, talking about a finish. But unfortunately, for Lombard, he didn't get the finish when he needed it the most. And Magny comes out of this looking pretty good. He survives adversity. He gets the win. What do we see next for Magny, Trevor?
Whew, that's actually something I'm trying to figure out. There's just so many people to fight. I'm not sure. I mean, Damian Maia rematch would be great, but I believe Damian's a little higher up in the totem pole right now.
I hope so.
Maybe a fight with Gunnar Nelson
That'd be fun.
would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they both have losses from Maia, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah. What do you think, Nick? You down with the Maia rematch, or you want to see Magny fighting a new person like Gunnar Nelson or something?
Gunnar Nelson probably a good matchup for him right now.
Or Dong Young Kim, maybe, if he doesn't have a fight going on.
Yeah, man, I haven't thought about Dong Young Kim in a while.
Two massive welterweights.
Yeah, really.
Both like 6'3", great grapplers, great strikers.
Yeah, all right. I'd pay to see that too. Well, we're going to. So. Yeah, but I mean, overall, just transitioning from the main event and co-main event and looking down the card, there was a couple of other noteworthy fights worth talking about. In the co-main event, I guess you'd call it, Jake Matthews versus Johnny Case. Jake Matthews 10-1 after this fight, and Johnny Case coming in on an 11-fight win streak. He suffers his first loss in 12 fights. Jake Matthews showing the heart of a champion and going for the finish all the way to the end, sinks in the rear naked choke late in the third, and as I said, defeats the very hot Johnny Case with the wicked tattoos.
Hairy legs.
Nick, anything you want to talk about on this fight? Or I mean, it was a pretty good on both ends.
It was a solid fight from both ends. I mean, it was fight of the night, and it was a clear fight of the night, in my opinion.
Both men were just landing at will.
Oh yeah, they were giving her.
Yeah, Trevor, what about you?
Oh,
Your take
I love
on this
fight. That body kick he landed in the second round was just vicious. Got to say, I love body shots in MMA, and I think they're underutilized.
Yeah,
like, should be used more because it opens up more shots to the head or tires your opponent. He was really going for shots to the body, then ripping to the head, and then kicks. Really utilizing his skills, and that's what I really caught out. Like, Jake Matthews is not somebody that was on my radar, but I'm really gonna watch him on my radar now.
Yeah,
his arsenal of just pure MMA was really I was looking forward to the fight, but I couldn't take my eyes off the fight once it started.
Yeah,
because it was just wild. And he got the finish, I believe, at 19 seconds left in the fight.
Yeah.
He didn't have to.
No,
he had the win. He had a unanimous decision, but he still went for it, and that's always something that's great in a fighter. Really still goes for that.
I mean, earlier in the night we saw there was a fighter that had the unanimous decision who had his opponent grounded, and he just laid on him for the last 30 seconds. I'm struggling to think about who the name was, but yeah, they were both really tired. Obviously, they didn't have the conditioning that Jake Matthews or Johnny Case has, but yeah, I mean, it's just in direct comparison to somebody who had the win and didn't have the killer instinct to go for it with 19 seconds left. Yeah, props to Jake Matthews. This guy seems to fight every time, and they're in Australia whenever the UFC goes, and I think he's fought in Vegas a few times too, so love to see him fight here. Again, just get more action because he's a young guy, and I think
21?
he can put string together. Yeah. Made his debut at 19, so...
Yeah. Prospect right there.
Yeah, for sure. Looking further down the card, we had the Canadian, Steve Bosse, coming back from getting KO'd in spectacular fashion himself.
To shotgun blast.
Yeah, to hand James Tahuna his 4th loss in a row with a vicious KO. What was that? I think it was a cross hook or cross lap or something.
I think it was a right cross.
Okay.
Off his left. It was a weird, strange
connection.
Yeah, like both of them were off one foot.
Yeah, they were definitely off. They were off balance, and they landed in the middle of
so
throwing.
Hard.
Yeah, man,
so hard.
Tahuna just face plants to the ground. Yeah,
he couldn't move. He was trying to get up, but he kept falling.
You and I have been watching James Tahuna for a long time, Trevor. Is this the end for James? 4th loss in a row.
4th loss. James Tahuna, I believe he's going to be getting his papers. Like, he's lost out of the 4, 2 vicious KOs, one from Shogun, now from Bosse, and he's got finished by armbar by Nate Marquardt and guillotine choked by Glover. And these all came in the first round. It's not looking good for him.
No, definitely not. Of course, Steve Bosse going to 11-1. Interesting to see him back at all. I figured he was retiring. Sorry, I cut you off, Nick.
That's all right. I was just going to say you can only lose so many times before you're...
Yeah, I mean, I know the UFC was flirting to going to Hawaii, so they might keep him for that reason alone. Kind of got that island steez to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Definitely a star in that area, though. I don't think he's going to be hurting for fights. If he does get cut for UFC, he'll probably get picked up in another promotion that does business on that side of the hemisphere.
As I jokingly said last night, he could go headline a Bellator.
Yes, he could headline at Bellator. That's not wrong.
He'll probably get KO'd in Bellator, too.
Oh, probably, but he's a big enough name that they'd throw him right up there on the card.
Oh, yeah. They would put him up there for sure. Fellow Canadian on the card as well, speaking about Steve Bosse in this instance, is Chad Laprise, who fought in the, what do they call that? The main event of the prelims against Ross Pearson, a fighter I was lucky enough to see in Boston when we went to go watch Cruz versus Dillashaw. And Chad Laprise really, I guess probably something worth noting is that both these men coming into this fight coming off losses to Francisco Ronaldo. Fun fact. Yeah.
Oh.
Strange, eh?
The curse.
Yeah, and, Chad Laprise, usually a pretty wrestling-heavy arsenal, was really standing and banging with Ross Pearson, who's, known for his striking. Laprise really opening up with a lot of interesting kicks, real good pinpoint kicks to the body. It was a tight match all the way through, and it went to a split decision, and I kind of had Chad Laprise winning, but I wasn't upset to see, Ross Pearson win. Of course, as you were talking about last night, Pearson, unfortunately, unable to get 2 wins in a row. His record is no contest, lost, win, lost, win, lost, win, lost, win. And, just really want to see that guy put a string together and make a run because he's just so talented. And I think that's what what that division could use is a really nice, a strong striker at the top. But Chad Laprise, obviously, his wrestling foundation, it would have been good to see him have a win because he was really expanding his stand-up arsenal as well. So, shout out to Chad Laprise. You won that in our eyes, and we're not even biased. Maybe we're a little bit biased. Nick, any other fights you want to talk about?
Nothing else really that I had in my notes for the card. So
yeah, okay. Trevor, any other fights you want to talk about going down the card?
All right, so I'm going to talk about Dan Kelly, the 4-time judokan Olympian. He's so stumbly and awkward in there that you never think he's going to win.
But he keeps winning.
He has the one loss to Sam Alvey, but other than that, he's won all his fights in UFC. And he put a beating on Antonio Carlos Jr. in the third, to the point where blood was splashing, kind of like the new UFC game. Every shot on the ground was splatting. He was hitting them it felt like 100 shots in a matter of 30 seconds, just pounding, small, heavy.
Yeah.
And it was, you know what? He had a lot of desperation. It was cool, and he knew he was down from the first round and came back and won.
Yep.
Awesome. He's Australian too, so everybody was his home crowd.
Yeah, it seemed like they were kind of trying to hype up Antonio Carlos Jr. too as like an up and comer in the division, even though he has sort of a questionable record.
Yeah, his jiu-jitsu is supposed to be incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody I saw, like, predictions were saying he should get the submission easily.
Yeah.
Boom.
Didn't happen that, so...
And, let's see, there's Alan Gilbran with the TKO on Brandon O'Reilly. He just saw blood.
Yeah.
Smashed him up in the corner with
Gilbran's just such a specimen, man. He's just so fit and so strong. Jesus.
Yeah, and he really knows to mix up his arsenal of strikes.
Yeah,
really confuse the person.
That Dan Hooker fight was good too. The win over Mark Adiva. It was a guillotine choke in the first, and remember we made a joke. He's made all the hookers proud in Australia.
Yeah, he was so like bony too. So watching that guillotine choke, it was like it looks like it hurt.
Yeah, getting stabbed.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, that was the night that was UFC Fight Night 85, Hunt versus Mir. I think we're gonna move on to our segments, guys. Start with our first segment. The half-cut uppercut. All right. Nick, what's your half-cut uppercut? Who surprised you the most? Who came out of nowhere?
I gave my half-cut uppercut this week to Jake Matthews. He got the submission with 15 seconds left in the fight, which I didn't think he was losing that fight to begin with, but it was a good thing he did finish it because apparently the judges were scoring that fight, what was it, 2018 for a case going into the third round.
Wow, I didn't see the fight going that way, but...
Yeah, me neither.
Wow.
So, no, I didn't either, or two of the judges anyway were scoring a 2018 case going to the third round.
Wow.
Damn.
And 2 is all he would have needed.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
holy shit.
Yeah, good job Jake Matthews on pulling out that last minute finish.
Yeah, man. While we were breaking that fight down, we said we thought he was winning going into the last.
Yeah. I thought he was winning too, but
yeah.
apparently
Jesus.
the judges didn't agree.
That's wild. All right, Trevor, your half-cut uppercut, your dark horse of the evening. Who impressed you the most?
Yeah, it's funny. My first one was actually Jake Matthews.
Of
When
course.
he said it, I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, we don't
but-
share our selections before the podcast.
So I thought maybe somebody's going to say it, so I got a second one. I got Neil Magny. I've been a fan of Lombard's for a long time, since he was in Bellator. He was a Bellator champion over there, and really was tearing things up. Still tearing things up in the UFC, but Neil Magny just shows his heart and grit since being the Ultimate Fighter, and really just improving on every single fight. And you could tell, he's just seems like a cool fella too. Really just puts his work in and grit, and he's really going in possibly close to the top 5 of the division.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would agree. Neil Magny's definitely a rising star in that division. My half-cut uppercut, I have it written down as Steve Bossy just because he was coming off of such a haggard knockout. But the more I look at the card, and and I kind of had forgotten about the heart and strength of Daniel Kelly and the way he really took over the mic and said, you guys keep counting me out, but I keep coming here and I keep putting on these fights and winning. So, he's not the prettiest fighter to watch, but I'm going to give him my half-cut uppercut because I want to see him. He is a little older, so I'm kind of questionable on what he's going to be able to add to his arsenal to mix it up to keep the top fighters in that division guessing if he actually does make a fight in the top 10 or something. But I think overall, this is a guy who can keep making a living in fighting, and if he can put some wins together when it comes time to negotiate his contract, he'll be actually paid properly, and maybe he can get a few fights in at a higher pay. And I'd love to see that. Right? All right, guys, let's move to our second segment. The full bladder splatter. Alright, guys, who pissed the bed the worst this past night? UFC Fight Night 85, Hunt versus Mir. We may be unanimous having not even shared our selections, so how about on 3 we say it? 1, 2, 3. Steve Percival.
Oh.
Who'd you have? Okay, well, Nick and I, Steve Percival, the referee in the Magny and Lombard fight. Holy shit, man. Like, if this guy doesn't get fired, I don't know what else there could be. Like you say, maybe fined if that's an option.
You should.
Yeah, it's just one of those fights that's bad for everybody. That's just a highlight reel that not only Neil Magny or Hector Lombard can use, but so can the statesmen that are looking to outlaw this beautiful sport in that entire country.
I'd love to see a guy get knocked out. I'd love to see some good ground and pound, but you only want to see someone take so much damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's bad?
And that was way too much.
Too much on both ends.
You know what's bad when when they announce the referee and the referee gets booed, not the fighters.
Yeah, that's true. There was a little bit of a bad omen there. Trevor, you didn't choose you were the ununanimous decision. So by split decision, who was on the other end?
James Tahuna.
Yes, that is also a pretty obvious one, too.
52 seconds, get KO'd really hard, 4 losses, all in the first round in a row.
Yeah.
And, they keep... Yeah,
it's a good choice. I do worry, but at the same rate, he could headline a Bellator card, so it's not all bad.
Worry for his health. Like he just kind of seems a little slower in his conversations too, talking like his brain trauma.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, those 4 losses are spread out over 2 years, so it's not a long time, especially for a big guy in his age. I guess he's not that old, but regardless, still not good. Good call. Boys, let's put UFC Fight Night 85 in the rearview mirror, and let's take a look forward to UFC Fight Night 86, Rothwell versus Dos Santos. That's Ben Rothwell coming into this fight 36-9, and Junior Dos Santos coming into the fight 17-4. Funny to actually say their records out loud because I feel like Junior Dos Santos is the more experienced of the two, but you see this record on Rothwell and you think he's tried and tested, and it's really shown in his last couple of fights, really embracing that the heel character and making the most time on the mic, but backing it up with some really impressive wins. Of course, he got that Darce choke on former UFC fighter Matt Mitrione.
Josh Barnett last time.
Yeah, the guillotine choke. And he beat Alistair Overeem and Brandon Vera. Of course, Brandon Vera getting cut immediately after that fight. But his only loss is coming lately to Gabriel Gonzaga and Mark Hunt.
2013, 2011.
Yeah, so Rothwell, a beast of a man. Junior Dos Santos, as heavy a hitter as there possibly is in the UFC. Guys, who do you got? What do you guys think of this match before we move on to our next segment where we predict who we think is going to win?
I think it's going to be a great fight. I kind of am interested, Junior Dos Santos is fighting pretty soon from his KO loss to Alistair Overeem on December 19th. I was not expecting this fight to be announced. But I'll give my predictions later.
Anything you want to add, Nick?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, and in the co-main event, we've got Derek Lewis versus Gabriel Gonzaga. Of course, Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, making a meteoric rise in the heavyweight division after getting knocked the fuck out by former UFC fighter Matt Mitrione. So
like
pretty
19 seconds or something.
Yeah, some shit talking going on and going into that fight. Of course, him fighting Gabriel Gonzaga. Gabriel Gonzaga made his return to the UFC last year after a long layoff. What to say about that fight? It was kind of a meh fight.
Which one? Oh, with Krokop?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that fight.
No, not the head kick one. That one's fine.
Oh, yeah, the last one.
Yeah, the last one. He fought Konstantin Arokin.
Oh, yeah, that was a horrible fight.
Yeah. Even the Mirko fight in his comeback was like meh, but...
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was pretty violent near the end.
Yeah.
But, that co-main event, pretty decent. Looking down the rest of the card, here we're coming all from a place of diehards, and only a few names really stepping out that I can recognize.
Igor is still in UFC precarious. Can't believe that.
Merabek Taisilov coming off three TKO or KO wins.
Yeah, that one's pretty exciting. But yeah, the only other fighter I really recognize is Robert Whiteford. So
Blachowicz from Poland. He's a really good fighter, fighting Igor.
Nice.
He TKO'd Swedish guy, the big guy, Hammer.
Oh, Ilir Latifi.
Latifi, yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah, some really impressive records when you look down at 9-0, 9-2, 10-1, 10-2, 7-1, 5-0,
Definitely
6-1.
A European-based card.
Yes, yeah. I failed to mention that this is coming to us out of the Zagreb Arena in Zagreb, Croatia. So yeah, an international card, but usually a pretty popular main event buoyed by a lot of local fighters. I'm not just because we don't recognize the names doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some barn burners and some really impressive new faces to the our repertoire or our household names here at MMA Buzz. So guys, let's move on to our third segment. Predictions. So in this segment, we look forward to the next card, and we let you know who we have to win in the main and co-main event. Let's start with the main event. Ben Rothwell, Junior Dos Santos. Trevor, who do you got?
I got Ben Rothwell by either TKO or guillotine in the second round. Junior Dos Santos just has not looked the same since his 2 beatings from Cain Velasquez. He just kind of seems slower. Doesn't seem all there when he's fighting compared to what he used to be. And yeah, I got Ben Rothwell with the win.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I also have Ben Rothwell. I see it coming by also TKO or submission. I don't think it happens in the second round. I think that's like a third or fourth round kind of thing, just because Junior Dos Santos, big, powerful man, but usually decent at cardio too. So.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Yeah, Nick, who do you have?
I got Rothwell in this one too. Like Trevor said, Junior just doesn't seem like he has it in him anymore.
Yeah, it seems like the fresher fighter nowadays, Rothwell.
Yeah, and then Rothwell seems like he's got some momentum behind him at this point. So
no, it's very true. Of course, we all know Junior Dos Santos can turn the light out like that, so it could go either way. It's a fighter's fight, so yeah, real pick 'em. But I'd lean towards Ben Rothwell.
Yeah, and he has granite chin.
Yeah,
granite.
Yeah, Junior Dos Santos not so much.
Not so much anymore, yeah.
Not so much anymore, yeah. So yeah, co-main event. Predictions. Derek Lewis versus Gabriel Gonzaga. Nick, why don't you start us off?
I think I've got Derek Lewis in this one over Gonzaga. I mean, Gonzaga's coming off, one super boring decision.
Yeah.
And Derek Lewis is coming off a couple TKOs. So.
Yeah, decent prediction. Trevor, what about you?
I've been a fan of Gabriel Gonzaga for years, but sadly his chin isn't all there. I could either see this going by Derek Lewis TKO KO in the first, but if it goes to the ground, I can see Gonzaga getting a submission because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is ridiculous. But I'm leaning towards Derek Lewis by KO in the first.
I think Gabriel Gonzaga is going to be able to get the win. I think he's going to submit Derek Lewis in the third. I think somehow Gonzaga is going to be able to withstand whatever output Derek Lewis has, get him tired, shoot takedown, and go for that. Either that or a decision. In which case it favors either man because, Gabriel Gonzaga getting up in years and Derek Lewis not known to have the greatest cardio. So, yeah, I'm going to give my nod to Gabriel Gonzaga just because I want to see him win. Derek Lewis, though, I mean, if he won, I wouldn't be disappointed either. I always love to see new blood in the heavyweight division, and, Derek Lewis is probably one of the most promising candidates for that role.
I'm just realizing that there's this Francis Nunn? No?
Oh, Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, he's fighting again.
I never even noticed he was on this card.
Huge heavyweight.
Yeah, he is huge.
Like a freak of nature, like football style.
Yeah, we were super psyched to see him again after his last fight.
Oh, yeah!
He got the big uppercut in the third.
Yes! Oh my god, yeah, and he's fighting somebody named Curtis Blades, who's undefeated. Yeah,
I somehow missed that when I was looking down the card.
Yeah, I just noticed that a second ago.
Well, I didn't recognize the name, but now that you guys are saying it and I look at his smile, yeah, I recognize that guy. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, he was the guy with like the super long arms.
Yeah,
he's huge.
Yeah.
He looks like something that are like, I don't know, looks like Spawn.
Yeah. Guys, while we're talking about it, I'd be remiss not to mention the announcement that UFC made last night. UFC on Fox Sports 1 is Fight Night 88. the entire lineup was finally announced, headlined by Cody Garbrandt and Thomas Almeida. Just a fucking vicious main event. That one could be fireworks, folks. Definitely Cody Garbrandt looking really good. Obviously, the Team Alpha Male standout, and Thomas Almeida just super slick game. Transitions from striking to grappling and anything in between.
His KOs are just ridiculous. Like 2 KO of the years last year, basically.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that fight. Of course, in the co-main event, we've got Renan Barão versus Jeremy Stephens.
Holy shit.
Renan Barão moving up to 135 for this. I think that's his new home, as you mentioned.
Was it 145?
Oh, sorry, yeah. That 145, the former 135-pound champion. He held the title for, 8 years?
Oh, no, he only held it for like a year, I think.
Renan Barão?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was 10 years undefeated.
That's what it was. Yeah, 10 years undefeated, yeah. And, he's fighting Jeremy Stephens. Of course, Jeremy Stephens had some pretty amazing fights last year, too. Some Fight of the Night candidates. He had that amazing flying knee, only to be eclipsed 2 fights later by Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler. That's going to be an amazing fight.
Dennis Bermudez.
Yeah, Dennis Bermudez. Looking down the card, we have Tarek Saffiedine versus number 11 ranked Rick Story. So that's a 10-11 fight. Yeah.
Story since coming off that underdog defeat to Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah, that's true. He's been out
in Sweden.
Yeah, injured. Really looking forward to that at welterweight. At welterweight, and then another welterweight bout between Jorge Masvidal and Lorenz Larkin. Like this
That's
card.
Ridiculous fight.
My god. Yeah, Jorge Masvidal definitely. What was his nickname? Gamebred.
Gamebred,
yeah. Yeah, I love that. He's always out to fight. Hasn't really shown the killer instinct he formerly used to show in his fights, but really addressing that criticism after his last fight, and I think he's going to be bringing it out.
170, too. It'll be his second fight up there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He did move up. And Lorenz Larkin, of course, known for his crazy hairstyles, but also his crazy style.
Yeah. Coming off of a controversial loss to Albert Tumanov. But he still looked like a winner in that fight. So.
Yeah. Then, of course, moving down the card, we got a lightweight bout between Josh Berkman and Paul Felder.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Awesome
got to see Paul Felder fight in Boston. Fireworks on that guy, former actor of the stage. And, of course, Josh Berkman really enjoying a fourth quarter push in his career. I was not even going to say second half. Fourth quarter, he's really looking good up here in his older years. And rounding out the card, we've got a middleweight bout between Chris Camozzi and Vitor Miranda. Of course, Vitor Miranda making a quick turnaround. Fought, what was it, a month ago?
Yeah, it's the same card as Chris Camozzi, I believe.
Yeah, both these guys. Yeah, so Vitor Miranda, Lex Luthor, and of course Chris Camozzi, probably best known for stepping up on short notice to fight Jacare. Twice, was it?
Twice, yeah.
Losing in both affairs at about the same time by submission. Other fights worth noting. We got Abel Trujillo versus Diego Ferreira.
I believe that was switched from the card this past weekend because of visa issues.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then we got Eric Koch versus Joe Proctor. That's going to be fun. Always love an Eric Koch fight.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the prelims, the other prelim fights. I'm not really recognizing any names aside from Jake Collier, but he's fighting Keith Barish. And then we've got Chris De La Roca versus Adam Milstead. Really impressive card, especially that main card. I'm really looking forward to tuning in on May 29th for that.
Yeah, that's something I'm catching on that. There's no light heavyweight or heavyweight.
And no women.
It's all middleweight and down.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really crazy, fast-paced card. Yeah.
Action-packed.
Yeah, well, you look at the card that's coming up, the card that just happened, and a few cards beyond, we're seeing sort of clumps of the divisions, so they can properly... I think that's something that they learned moving into, the new Fox deal and everything. I think that there is some, not so much brand confusion, but fighter confusion, because... they just had them dispersed around the calendar so strangely that it was kind of hard to get a feeling for who was going to be fighting for that title. But now they're sort of putting all the heavyweights together. We're seeing what happens and making fights based on what happened. And then you see sort of like the up-and-comers that'll fight in between those and they'll fight one-offs on other cards, but they'll really concentrate the top 10 around a few months worth of action. Yeah, and then moving forward, they can, make better bookings and promotions.
Yeah, it's easier to make that next fight instead of being like, wow, this guy that you're going to fight next just fought a month ago, so you can't fight for another 4 months.
That was kind of what was happening for a long time.
Seemed like it, yeah.
So, one guy's got 4 months off, and the other guy's just had a year off, just sitting on the bench waiting for that fight, so...
Yeah, so that's what I think you're seeing that as almost a byproduct of the Fox signing because there's more cards to fill, and they just have to be smarter with their promotion. That is all we're looking forward to in the world of MMA. Unless, Trevor, you look like you wanted to say something.
There's a rumor going around that Nate Diaz versus McGregor 2 is happening at UFC 200.
Yes.
I kind of thought that...
Can we just hope that that's just a rumor?
Yeah.
Man, if fight happens...
Well, you mentioned... This is what brought it up. You had mentioned that somebody being on the shelf and waiting for a fight.
Yeah.
Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Oh, my God.
If there's somebody waiting for a fight... Since KO'ing Mendes in the first round, there's Frankie Edgar. He must be pissed at this rumor.
Well, if you think about that, he knocked him out the night before Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, and Conor's already had a fight, and now he's going to take another fight, and Edgar's got to sit between 2 paydays for Conor McGregor.
He hasn't even defended his title yet.
Oh, it's bullshit.
Not only does a Diaz rematch not need to happen for McGregor.
Yeah.
It's got to be Diaz full camp.
He has a belt to defend.
Yeah.
Diaz full camp, right? It's like...
Yeah, not fresh off a yacht sipping on tequila. Yeah, that... if it happens, I'm not that disappointed because I love Nate Diaz and I want to see him get paid. That's the only reason I want to see this fight happen.
Oh, I love Nate Diaz too, but
it'd be interesting to talk beforehand too.
Yeah,
it'd be all
the proper amount of time.
It'd be like they're grading put-downs the whole time, probably. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, you know what I think they should do?
Him, right? So it's like...
If Conor's so good, they should have him defend in the first fight of the night, and then fight Diaz in the main event.
Well, Nate said this. He's like, hey, Conor, your best training partner versus my best training partner.
I'm sure Nate
on the same night on UFC 200.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's what he said.
I didn't see that.
I'm sure Nate would fight twice that night just to make things even.
Yeah.
I like that. Your best versus my best.
Yeah, that's what he said, for UFC 200.
Yeah. Jesus, we already know how Artem Lobov fights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were jokingly talking about that on Sure Dog.
Yeah.
Artem Lobov fight somebody.
That's as soon as you guys sent me that in the group chat, I just responded with dot.
I just saw the dots and I'm like, I know what he's dotting to.
Yeah.
I didn't even see what Nick posted before.
Oh, I wasn't even replicating the pretend typing. I was just saying, this does not need to happen.
Yeah.
But you know what? If it happens, I would love to see Nate win again. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, at least the paycheck would be good for him, but I don't know.
I just don't see it going any other way.
No.
Conor was hitting him with his best shots, and he was shrugging him off.
And it's just not a fight that needs to happen.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh, well. Now we can put it in the header of the YouTube video.
Yep.
Alright, guys. I think we're coming to a head on this episode 11 of MMA Buzz. If, as I mentioned, we have our next episode will be entirely about the Fredericton Craft Beer Festival. We actually have a weekend off from MMA next weekend, so we're going to bring you our festival review. We're going to be bringing you some insight into the different vendors we tried, some conversations we had with some of the people that were there representing the various breweries. We're going to give you our segments like our full bladder splatter and our half cut uppercut, letting you know our favorites and some of the ones that let us down. Some really epic falls from grace if you really think about what we said in our pre-show about what we were looking forward to. Yeah, but you know what? Some really good ones as well. So just really excited to talk about craft beer in the on the east coast of Canada. Really motivated by the amount of interest we were shown inside of the Fredericton Craft beer festival inside of the app. Just an all-around great little grassroots community that's happening here on the East Coast. You drink in the best of times, you drink in the worst of times. Unfortunately for us, somewhere trapped in between here in New Brunswick. But overall, just a wonderful time at that event. Really looking forward to bringing you our reviews. And of course, we'll be back the next week with our take on UFC Fight Night 86. I'm going to be away that week, so we might do it through a different style of recording, maybe on Google Hangouts or something, but we're still going to bring it to you. And really looking forward to breaking down a whole bunch of fighters that we really don't know about yet. Could be some real standouts.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, we've reached that part of the show where we discuss the beers we've been drinking during the podcast and let you guys, the listeners, know what we thought of them. Let's start with you, Trevor. You've actually finished your Maybe IPA and moved on to another beer, so why don't you let us know about both of them?
I've got the Ransack the Universe Collective Arts here now, based out of Hamilton, Ontario. This beer has been very popular around these parts at the moment. I'm pretty sure most of Canada. It's been hard to get at the liquor stores lately. It has a nice citrus blast after every taste almost. And the cans they have this beautiful design on them where it's not like super vibrant colors but kind of bland in a way. And yeah, it's just really nice designs, amazing tasting beer. Highly recommend it. Runs you up 6.8% too.
Yeah, that's the Ransack the Universe from Collective Arts. I wouldn't say it's a plain or like a bland design.
Oh, it's like bland colors. I mean. Like
I think that's just that piece of art. It's got a unique piece of art on every can. Well, not every can, but they have a artist series that they have on it, and this one just happens to be
it's not like a vibrant.
Yeah,
blast.
The rest of it
is
more the
like
oranges.
The oranges, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that piece of art is really it's like it almost matches perfectly because of the orange on the orange. We're looking at a VW van on top of a can. Yeah, it's a really nice can. What about the Maybe? Just another solid can of Maybe IPA.
Oh, incredible! Yeah, it's a beer I've told many friends about and have gone to every time since I tried it the first time.
Yeah, really looking forward to trying that on tap. Nick, how about you? Your dirty old town.
Dirty Old Town is great. Like I said, first the podcast, the second time I've had it, and it's just as good as it was the first time. I will probably be buying it again as long as it's not sold out.
Yeah, it was really good when I had it at the Tap Takeover, as I mentioned earlier too, and I remember I had it in a bottle. Must have been 2 years ago. I never thought to get it again, but yeah, a really good beer. Definitely a dessert beer. Myself, I was drinking this Deux Frères Hickson IPA coming from Quebec on my trip up north, and this is probably the fourth time I've had this particular bottle of IPA. I shared one of them with my uncle, so I guess it's my third and a half time. But yeah, enjoyable each time. Real shame we can't get them here. Apparently we used to be able to, but I must have missed the boat on when they were here. I was not paying attention when I should have. But Nick has reminded me that, yeah, apparently we had them. Missed my opportunity. I'll just have to make the most of my next trip up. I did buy them out of the ones that they had in their stock, so yeah. Got a few. I guess 2 left, I guess, because I shared some last night. Anywho, delicious beers all around. Thanks again to all of the breweries who are bringing their beers here to the East Coast. Yeah. All right, guys. Shall we wrap it? MMA Buzz, episode 11 in the books. Let's cheers.
MMA Buzz, brought to you by The Beach Radio.